This is Waga. Now, I'm going to start a new series where I work with SwiftUI views. And yeah, I'll be looking at the various views contained in SwiftUI. Declarative frameworks are taking over ever since the stunning success that React was. And also, if you look at the mobile scene, we have Flutter, which I have videos of. I have several videos of Flutter. And also, there's Jetpack Compose, which can be used to create Android apps using Kotlin. And we also have SwiftUI, which has recently been bumped up to SwiftUI version 2. So I'm going to look at a few views of SwiftUI. I am learning SwiftUI, so I'll be sharing a couple of views. And today we're going to start off with perhaps the most common, yeah, I won't say the easiest, but the most common view, which is the text view. Continue. Now, the first thing with text view is that there are various modifiers you could add to it. And a modifier, you add a modifier like this. You could, for example, say dot font, and there are a couple of preset fonts, right? Fonts like so, and you could say dot large title, which is the largest, like so. There's also title. There's also headline and subheadline. You could say headline and subheadline, and the others like body, callout, caption, and footnotes. You can look at the documentation to see all of them. So basically, just type dots and you can see all of them. Like you can pick callout, caption, in increasingly different sizes, right? And another thing with this is we could say we are all very happy in our family, like so. And you could limit the lines, and how you would limit it. Oh, it actually fits. Let's bump it up, right? We say dot font. Let's make it large title. We know large title is too big to fit in, right? And we could limit the line to make it only one line, one deck. We could say dot line limit, and we could make it one line, like so. So you see the rest of the words are truncated if you put like a line limit like that, right? So that's one of the modifiers that's available to font, to text. Is we could check out the font weights, right? So we have several preset font weights that we could use, and for that we could come here and say dot font weight down here, and the weight, there are several presets. There's ultra light, there's thin, there's light, there's regular, medium, semi bold. Let's try semi bold. Dot semi bold, like so. There's also bold, like so, and after bold, I think there's even one called heavy. Wait, sorry. Heavy, like so. Heavy is heavier than bold, interestingly. And the heaviest, I believe, is something called black. So between from ultralight, all the way to black, you can pick a font weight based on the heaviness that you want, for example. And you could mix and match this. Like you could have a font, we could have a font size, we could say like dot title, like so. So we could mix this. Here we've mixed the heavy font weight, which is black, with a font title, which is the font, what's it called? The font style, which is title, right? So you could mix and match, right? And another thing we could also add up is the font design. Now, when we want to do a font design, all you need to do is come here and say dot font, like so. And here we're going to say font dot. There are about 4 font design systems in this version of iOS. I'm using the stable version this is Xcode 11.5, I believe. I haven't migrated to 12, which is still in beta. So I don't know if I've not checked out Swift 2.0 about all the changes that are there. But currently there are four font design systems, and when they do move it out of beta, I will be making videos so that because there'll be fewer changes, right? Because I remember learning SwiftUI while SwiftUI was still in beta. There were lots of changes, right? There were lots of changes as it moved out of beta, and they even changed the names of some of the properties of the property wrappers. Yeah. So basically, currently there are 4. So you could say to use them. Sorry for that digression. I was just explaining. We could say font system. We could say font system, and we could give it a size. Let's give it a size, and the size could be, let's make it 20. Let's make it 20, and we could have a design. Now the design, it could be monospaced, rounded, or serif. So let's go with design is dot monospace, just dot monospaced, like so. or if you don't want monospaced, you could have it as dot rounded, which sounds okay. That's what rounded looks like. And serif, or serif looks good. Or ultimately, you could just remove this and have it as our default, right? So those are the 4 that are available, right? And when you want to change the color of a font, right? For example, we have the color here, blue, right? Yeah, the color here is blue. So if you want to change the color of the font, what you do is you add a foreground color. Now the foreground color, you could say, you could give the color, let's use purple, like so. So we get the color of the text becomes purple. However, yeah, the color of the text becomes purple. You could also do this as color dot purple, the color. You could write the color as color dot purple. But in this case, when you're using the foreground, it's expecting the function modifier is expecting a color. You could just this color here that we include is surplus to requirements. It's expecting a color. You could say just dot purple like so. And yeah. And another thing you could do is you could add a background if you want like the color to be behind the. If you want the color to be behind the like enclose all the text, right? So for here, for example, here, let's just make it colored purple so that you can see. And in the background expects a view. Now we're putting a view behind this text. And for us to put a view behind the text, what you need to do is what you need to do when you're putting a view behind the text is you actually need to put the entire view. And the color is a view, by the way, in SwiftUI. So we can't come here and say dot purple, like so. No, dot, what's the name? Gray. Let's say dot gray. We can't do dot gray. What we can do here, though, is we can say color dot gray, like so. Right? Why is it complaining? Gray. Yes. I come from a country where we were taught British English. From Kenya. So I spelled grey with an E. So yeah, so grey. You could put grey here, and yeah, and it would put the color behind it. So that's one of the ways and methods we could work with, like putting a view behind our text and also color on our text. Other modifiers you could use. There are lots of modifiers. You can go through the documentation to see all the modifiers. Like we could say here bold, like so, bold, and we embolden it. We could make it italic. We could underline it. We could strike through. Let's hit a strike through. So we say strike through, like so, and it's crossed out. You could change the color of the strike through by saying color dot green, like so. So we get, yeah, you say color dot green, and you get the strike through with the color. You could also underline it, right? If you wanted to underline it. Another modifier is dot underline, like so. And same as that, you could just underline it. We could say color. The color is dot, let's say dot pink, like so. So we have underlined it, if you can see it here on our simulator. Let's just make it a bit smaller. If you can underline it, you can underline it with the color pink. So those are some of the formatting options you have with the text. Yeah, basically that. There are more, but those are some of the ones that you can look at. We could another thing we could do is we could give the lines a bit of spacing. Let's make it a bit bigger so that you can see it. We could say large title, like so. So we've made it a large title, and we want to give it a bit of spacing. So for that, you just need to add line spacing, and it takes a number. So you could say 16, like so. So let's say 10, yeah, and let's say 20. So yeah, so you could use line spacing. You could also align multiple lines, like if by default, text usually is centered on the screen. Like you see, when you put a text, it's centered on the screen. But when it has multiple lines, it will be aligned to the left, which is the leading. They call it leading, but it will be aligned to the left. I'm guessing if you're using a language that writes the other way, like Urdu or Arabic, you would want to align with the trailing, which is the right, right? So what we have here, text will be aligned to the left. But we could change this if we want. Like we could come here, supposing we could say, oh wait, I'm saying font dot line. No, this is not supposed to be line limit. This is supposed to be line spacing. Sorry, line line spacing. And this one takes a float, actually, sorry. So if we put 20 like that, yeah, this is supposed to be, that's how we do line spacing. Now, alignment, when it comes to alignment, like I said, it either aligns, it automatically defaults to aligning to the center when it's one line. But when you want it to, when it's multi-line like we have here, we could align the content in the center or towards the right, right? So for that, we could say multi-line text alignment, and the alignment is going to be you could say dot center dot leading dot trailing dot center, like that. So it's aligned to the center. You can see it moving a bit like that. We could say dot trailing, and we could have it aligned towards the right. You can change it if you speak other languages that right from the other side. You might want to align your text or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Next, you might want to truncate text, right? You might want, it might be too long and you only want to show a bit of it. So for example, we have all this text. I've added the words very, very happy in our family, and I've spelled happy incorrectly. I've corrected it now. And maybe we only have one line to show all this text. So we could limit it by saying line limit, and it takes an integer, which is 1. So that is the function modifier that we have added there. You could decide where this ellipses, what's the plural of ellipsis? Where the ellipses show. So for example, you could say truncation mode, and you could say dot head. That is, the ellipses will show at the beginning, so we'll see the end. We will say tail, so the ellipses will show towards the end. We will say middle, middle, like so. And there'll be the beginning and the end, and what's in the middle will not be seen. So basically, if you want to truncate, that is one option that you could decide to use.